Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to my African and Caribbean communities spread far and wide, wherever you are. Wishing you peace, love, blessings, more life, more power, and more success. Good greetings to all nations. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our platform. Today's show we'll be speaking about health, well-being, and self-healing with Firestead, herbalist guru, in fact, an electrical body engineer. Understanding the struggle of and passion of a Black woman and untold stories of the Windrush generation with Herma Emmanuel, who will be sharing her story with us. Before we move forward with Fire, who's keeping me waiting, we will be meeting. Let me get through some disclaimers. So, first disclaimer is this channel is specified for the growth and development of the Black community. We welcome all nations as long as their participation is in line with our mission. Two, I am not a professional historian or a lawyer, and all information that I share with you should be independently researched. Three is that our platform does not discuss slavery. It's not about slavery or any of our past tribulations. We do believe they're important and that everybody should research this independently. However, we are aimed at the progression and the future, trying to build a better future, which of course we need to understand the past, but we need to focus on the future. Four is that Susie's on board. I have multifocal tics, so if I make any untoward noises or sounds, I will just move straight forward and hopefully not to cause too much disruption. So as I said previously, I'll give just a brief update of what's been going on. So first and foremost, our petition for a better healthcare system, which I believe will greatly help our community with regards to the type of care and treatment we receive within healthcare settings. It is not specified to the minorities or to Black communities. However, overall, if people are generally receiving compensation for injury caused to them, then inadvertently it should make the NHS question why there's so much claims, and hopefully we receive better treatment. So that is at 47. We still need more signatures. As I said previously, we need 10,000 signatures just to get an acknowledgement from Parliament and 100,000 signatures to be heard in Parliament. So as this also advised previously, we intend to build this platform to enable us to be able to have free movement with regards to creating laws or being heard within Parliament. And we intend to do that by creating the numbers. Next is the court update on the court. My court progression is that one of the defendants have refused the Part 36 offer. They haven't given any grounds for that, but they've rejected it, and that's okay. The court are slightly delaying the process of the default judgment, and I am slightly concerned about how it's all happening. But I have made a complaint and I have had some communication with them, and they said it's going to be rectified, and I hope that is the case. If you remember last week, I was due to start a healthcare journey, and I advised that I was going to have a colon cleanse in order to start this journey, and also to change my diet. An update on that is first and foremost, I did do the cleanse. most definitely I do feel the benefits of it, but it was a very exhausting time. I experienced a lot of regurgitation along with it, but what I found with that was that all the mucus and all the stuff that I had on my chest is cleared. I've been feeling a lot better within my chest, cleared on my chest, and also um, I feel a little bit more light. Um, I don't really know how to put it into words, but generally, overall, I feel better, more positive. Have I been successful with cutting out the meat and eating only live foods? No, I have not. I have managed to cut out all chicken, meat, and other produce, dairy produce. However, I've every now and again I've had some fish. Um, I've introduced mushrooms into my eating now, and every now and again I try to replace the fish with mushrooms. It's going well. I've still got a long way to go. Can I see any difference? So far, I've lost 6 kgs, um, and that's just the beginning. I know we lose a lot of water before anything else first, but I'm desperately hoping to continue this weight loss journey, and I hope you guys come along with me for the ride. You can join me on Instagram and YouTube, where I will be giving regular updates. So, as you guys know, as part of this journey, like I said, I went to a health advisor who gave me some tips on how to go about beginning this healthy lifestyle and cleansing my body. He's here with us today, very well known electrical body engineer. His name is Firestead, and I think we'll get ready to get him on air now. Hold on, give me 1 second. So we seem to have lost that connection. I will try and get him back, but in the meantime, I will swiftly move forward with the show. Fire, please reconnect yourself back. Join the live stream again if you can hear this. If not, I will contact you shortly. So, okay. So moving forward, hopefully we'll get Fire back in studio shortly. Um, we have a packed schedule today, so um, okay. Okay. So our topic of the day was angry black woman. Is it angry black woman, or how else? That's the stereotypical term we've been given in society. And I wanted to just address that a little bit because I believe understanding creates compassion, and then we can learn to move forward and deal with things a bit better. Hi, Samantha, well blessed. Lovely seeing you. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. Health is well. Amen, cuz most definitely. Hi, Selena. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. How are you? Selena will be introducing over the coming weeks. It has a lupus hub, just designed a lupus hub, and also better health advisories as well. So we'll be speaking to her over the coming weeks. Um, so angry black woman and the struggles of the black woman. So I wanted to firstly discuss in fact, I wanted to play a video, but we can't get the video on here today. But let me just give you a brief breakdown of this video. It speaks of a white gentleman, and he's speaking on why black women behave in the way that they do, so called, so to speak. Um, Another white gentleman addressed him and asked him, why are black women so aggressive, and why do they present the way they do? Is it something they do to white people, or is it just in their culture? Are they just culturally aggressive? And the gentleman broke down some of the histories and some of our histories that cause us to be a certain way. That really struck a chord in me, because I hear a lot of black men insulting black women, insulting the struggle of black women. And don't get me wrong, this goes both ways. It's no way just men or women. But today I wanted to discuss the actual women, and in the future, probably next week, we'll be discussing the men. And I wanted you to understand that the impact that generational inheritance of generational abuse and trauma has affected a generation long term, and the struggles that the black women had to go through and still go through in order to maintain the family, maintain the children and themselves, despite being at a disadvantage within society. In order to do that, I will be bringing Herma Emmanuel. You could tell by the Emmanuel that's my mother, and she will be just speaking about her transition from St. Lucia to the UK, and the trials and tribulations she went through to be here today. This story is similar across the board to many of our foreparents, people that came in the Windrush generation, their parents, and I believe it's the basis for why we are a strong-willed. I would detest the word aggression. I do not believe that we should be termed as aggressive. Um, we are passionate, most definitely, and when we say we're going to get, we tend to make sure we go and get. Um, so before introducing you to Herma and her story, I just wanted to let a few things resonate with you. Give you a few examples of how society accepts that childhood trauma can affect you through generations and generations, with regards to their terms, or with regards to what they believe should affect a child. And I would like to relate that to us as a people, and why I believe that we have generational trauma, and why it plays out in how we present, and hopefully to create a bit of understanding around it, and to help remove the term aggressive black woman. Yeah. So the first example is child abuse. Child abuse is said to affect the child into adulthood, and also to impact the future interactions and the rearing of children by heightening the chance that the individual may also abuse the child, or not be able to protect the child from future abuse. Now, this is said that the person could be so traumatized, rather than knowing it's right or wrong, they accept that and make interventions to assist people who've gone through trauma to ensure that they do not pass it on to their children. They're very aware that the children could be affected by getting abused, and then it could just be a generational effect, roll-on effect, knock-on effect, continuously one generation abusing another. So it's accepted with child abuse. Domestic abuse. Domestic abuse within a home, when the child is to see that, it is said that this child can become aggressive and behave in certain ways, and can, when they get older, they may be likely to abuse their partner or to suffer from abuse, because of the trauma of them seeing this, right? So that's accepted that this could cause generational trauma. Okay. And the third example I have here is the effects of bullying. So even bullying, you're in school and you're told that bullies are usually people that have been bullied, and they present as bullies because they realize they got more attention and more control over a situation. So then they begin to bully people to, one, deal with their trauma, and number two, to get heard. Some of these people end up as enforcement officers, police, security, and over abuse their positions. And that can be seen as generational trauma, or trauma leading from one event to another. So my question is, when it comes to the black man and the black woman, why do we see it as just this? We're just this way. Why does no one look back and understand that our traumas over time, we're all learning from a broken parent, from a broken black mother, black father. We're all traumatized. Therefore, what we present to our children, every generation tries to do better without a doubt, but we're still in that bracket. Something very simple to describe how things go down through generations would be just a simple wink of the eye. Every black person knows when mum looks at you, stares at you, or gives you that wink if you're out in a shop or somewhere, that you know how you're supposed to conduct yourself in that moment in time. You know you're supposed to be shushed or hushed in that moment of time. And that is something that's been passed down through generations, believe it or not. When in slavery times people couldn't talk, they communicate through body language, through cane rows in their hair, and in various different non-verbal ways, means. So most definitely, that's just one small example that is shown outwardly that we see as a joke and just part of our culture or who we are. Yes, it most definitely is, but it is something that's been passed down through generations. And today, I want us to start to appreciate the fact um, that we need each other to move forward. We need each other to heal each other's wounds. We need the black man. The black man needs the black woman. And moving forward, the only way we're going to succeed is if we actually sit down and find a way to become one, champion each other. And I go back to my talk from last week about the 100,000. If we have one platform or with 1 million followers, and every person in that platform decides, or any person in that platform decides they want to do something, they've automatically got 1 million cheerleaders. This is the kind of movement that we need to have across the world. The different pockets of black this and black that is fantastic. It's an absolutely great movement, and I'm really proud to see this day a day come to life. But there still needs to be more work. We need to bring us all together as one and try our best to make it happen for ourselves. And I've said this before. Willie Lynch said that the effects of slavery will last approximately 300 years. And at this rate, if we continue the way that we are, I say that he's possibly right. But he doesn't need to be. We don't have to go on their dictation. We don't have to let it play out. We could take a step ahead and, bring this journey forward. So I'm going to end that here for now, and I'm going to get ready to bring Herma on. So we're going to go for a quick break, and after that break, we'll have Herma Emmanuel, my mum, on to discuss as our first interviewee what the sorry, we have Fire has joined us again, so I'm going to just nip over to Fire to speak about the health journey, and then we'll get back to mum. Sorry, the interview.
Greetings.
Hi, good afternoon, Fire.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm not too bad at all. Not too bad at all.
Lost you a while ago. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So I was just letting them know about the health journey I've embarked on and um, my experiences over the weekend trying the colon cleanse, how I'm feeling
Oh, yeah.
now.
Okay. How did you find it?
So
Can you hear
I
me?
thought it was exhausting. It was really exhausting.
Yeah.
You prescribed 5 tablets. I got through three. After each of the tablets, I regurgitated a bit, but it definitely what went down. I actually was led to believe that what came up was what couldn't go down, kind of thing. My chest. Instantly, my fiance advised me that my voice had changed. I thought it, but I thought no. Then he said, but even your voice has changed. I tend to speak with a bit of a cold because of the postnasal drip,
Yeah.
but my I'm using my blue inhaler a lot less.
Mm.
I'm not coughing as much. Um, I feel clear chested. I could do that without coughing. I couldn't do that then. With
Brilliant.
regards to my stomach, I'm all green when I'm using the other end now.
Yeah.
I don't feel bloated. I have lost
Okay.
6 kgs, and will I do it again? I was ready to take the next two the next day.
Yeah, no, it
And I think I spoke to you, you said, no,
doesn't,
don't take it yet.
doesn't work like that. Once you've gone through it, you cannot do it again for at least another 3 months. So if you didn't get them two down you, that's it. You got to leave it as that. And then when you do it again in 3 months' time, use those two, add another one. You know what I mean? Yeah, but like
Hmm.
I had a guy a few years ago that I had to prescribe 7 to him because he couldn't walk no more, and he was so big, it was unbelievable. But like he actually done this. He actually went to his doctor and said to his doctor he got these things from a herbalist, and he said that, and his doctor advised him not to take it. But his daughter said, "We've gone so far. We've spoken to myself at this. They said, let's just take 3." So I subscribed him 7, and he took 3. And then the daughter rang me back up in about probably a week's time, rang me up back saying, thank you so much. I said, what are you thanking me for? Said, you're giving me my dad back because my dad can walk now. Yeah, but he only took 3. And I said to him, imagine if you got the 7 down here, maybe running, you know? So, like, you know, like when I prescribe and tell people about this cleanse, and I say you need 3, 4, 5, it's because it works on your weight, your height. If you're taking medication, if you're still eating 2 eyes, that's anything that has walked on this earth that's got 2 eyes. Yeah, there's a reason, and that's why I said after you've done this cleanse, you need to rest for a day because
Yeah.
it's a complete attack on your body, and your
Hmm.
body goes into a situation where it has not been because it's saying all the fungus, the worms, the parasites, it's attacking it. It's attacking your system, and it's going to take out the good, the bad, and the ugly. Once it's finished, and you finish it, that's it. You just got to then try to change what you're doing. If someone is on high blood pressure pills, diabetes pills, those types of things, I try to explain to them before they take it that we will change the pills for what we know as herbs. But I look at herbs as food. So a lot of people call, this is a herb. I say, no, it's not a herb, it's a food. Because in the days that we would go out hunting, gathering, we would be in the forests and in the fields picking the green, picking the lemongrass, picking the leaves from the tree, and we were picking the berries, eating as we were foraging. So I look at anything that goes into the mouth as food. But we've got to get away from this idea of thinking that even if you're smoking a cigarette, that's food. You've got to get into this sense of anything that goes into your mouth is food because it's going to give you some form of currency, some form of energy. Whether it's good or bad or indifferent, it's going to go into the gut. So a lot of people
Hmm.
who smoke think that when they smoke, they pull the cigarette or whatever they're smoking, it goes directly to the lungs. That's the last place it goes. It goes through to the stomach. From the stomach, it goes to the lower stomach. From the lower stomach, it goes everywhere in your body because it's then taken by the parasites, the blood, and the water system all over your body. That's why we get things like blockages. Or if we got anything like breast cancer or colon cancer, or these are because your arteries are blocked. Diabetes blocked. It all starts from the stomach, you know. So we've got. I always say that there's 2 things that our people need. The first thing is love, and the second thing is knowledge. And a lot of people browse this word out so easy by saying, "Oh, your health is your wealth." But it's easy to say those 2 words. It's like meeting a person and go, "I love you." It's easy to say, "I love you," but do you really love them? The words that we use are supposed to be powerful. But when you say
Mm.
your wealth is your health, everyone, I could see so many people saying it to me, but when you start looking at them, they don't really believe it. Because if they believed it, some of the stuff that's going on in their body, they wouldn't allow to do it, especially guys. You know what I mean? We rather put a set of brake shoes in our car and a new set of rims on our wheels with a lovely fancy stereo rather than put the money into the most prized possession you've got, which is your body. The body is worth more than any car in this world. Don't care if it was a vintage Rolls Royce. Your body is worth more than that. Any
Yeah.
painting, your body's worth more than any painting in this world. But because we don't take care of our bodies and we don't really respect our bodies, we don't spend nothing on it on our bodies. It's only when you're sick and you're really sick you try to think, what can I do when it comes to when death door comes knocking? When the doctor then turns around and tells you you're at stage 4 cancer and the fear of God just gone into you because you know stage 4 is the one of the last stages before you're dead. But you got to know that we've got to look at our bodies and we've got to become our own doctors and our own nurses. Yeah, they've got us in I call a coliseum, keeping ourselves busy, keeping us busy watching EastEnders, watching the World Cup, watching Strictly Come Dancing. If we're watching them, taking them images in, yeah, then they've got us. Because that's why the Caesars and the Italians built the Colosseums to keep you occupied, you know.
So
So
go
So
ahead.
before you go anywhere, and if you, even when you're talking about what you're talking about, the family relationship of the father and the mother and the children and trauma, all of this starts with what's going on in your mind. You put rubbish into the belly, you get rubbish into the mind. It's as simple as that. But no one wants to go straight to the point and straight to the juggler and say, rubbish in, rubbish here. It's as simple as that. People who what they call them people that have lost their mind and they've got man or depression.
Yeah.
A lot of
Mental
it, most of it, is to do with the food you're eating. I'm not saying that trauma, because if someone goes through a traumatic experience, that's another case. But most people who go what we see walking on the streets and they're turning mad, you have to go back and start looking what were they eating? What were they putting in
yeah.
their mouth?
Yeah.
Tin of Coca-Cola, 28 spoons of sugar. Yeah? I'll tell you, it all starts with what we put into our mouth.
hmm So what what kind of plant-based diet do for your body? Let's just take a person that doesn't have any ailments or illnesses. How does a plant-based diet restore your body?
Well, the thing about it, I always say to people, because people ask me this question all the time, and they say to me, what do you eat? And I have to say, my mother hasn't grown a fool because if you cannot get plants to eat, because anything can happen in this lifetime now. You've seen what's gone on in the last few years. Anything can happen. And some if they had a massive strike and they weren't letting the vegetables come in and the plant-based food to come into the country, and there was only packet food, meats and packet foods out of the Icelandic shop and the shop that does the back pocket thing, ding ding ding, all them shops. You have to eat. So at the end of the day, it's not so much what you eat; it's how you get rid of it out of your system.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, if you put petrol into a diesel car, It'll go for a certain amount and then it'll stop. But what do you have to do to get that car back ready? You have to take out that diesel petrol.
Mhm. So
So
technically, you're not pro veganism. You're pro healthy living, healthy lifestyle. It doesn't mean you believe that it must be plant based.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like I'm not plant-based people. I would say they're more likely not to get ill. That's a definite. But like people that become vegetarians and vegans, a lot of them sometimes get ill because they're losing minerals. They're losing
What,
minerals.
what would you say to someone like me? Obviously, I'm starting the journey, and I don't know if you heard, like I've managed to stop the meat because I'm not a great meat eater anyway, but I still nibble on the fish every now and again.
Yeah,
How would
well,
you say that will impact my healing? And you obviously know what's going on with me.
as I say, it's not what you eat; it's how you get rid of it out your system.
Understood.
Yeah, and
Notable.
I never understood the power of fasting because my mum and dad, they're Christians and they religiously used to fast. And when I got sick once, my mum said to me, "You need to fast." I asked my mum, "Why do I need to fast, mum?" And she said, "God says so." So I never fasted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not the answer I needed. We have to be practical when we're talking to people. So
Right.
when you're actually talking to someone about how to reverse any illness or how to help a person with their diet, you've got to be also practical because a lot of the foods that they're creating today, which a lot of people talk about, the GMO foods, yeah, you've got to really understand what GMO really means. It
Mhm.
means they've taken some form of nutriment and some form of benefits that will benefit our body out of that food, and they've put something in it to change its structure.
Mhm.
So if you're eating an apple and it's got no seeds, or you're eating grapes with no seeds, that has been genetically modified. So the structure of the apple or the grapes have changed. So you got to remember again, this is a system. This system understands food. So if you put into your mouth a grape and it has no seed in it,
Mhm.
what happens? The body knows it. And the body's not a fool. The body knows that there's something missing from that grape and they reject the whole grape because it's a system. You taste the grape, it looks like a grape, but the body says, this ain't a grape. A friend of mine was telling me a story, a St. Lucian guy, one of my good friends, that in St. Lucia, his cousin grows bananas for one of our big stores in England. And when he was over there, he actually saw that there was all these big bunches of bananas sitting there rotting. So he asked his cousin, "Why are them bananas rotting when you can use them?" And he said, "Well, I grow this for one of the big stores in London or in England, but if there's one banana on the bunch no good, they get rid of all the bunch. But not so." He said, "Well, why don't you give them to your people in the country, St. Lucia?" And he said, "Well, funny you should say that. When the monkeys come down out the hills looking for bananas, they go past all them bananas, don't eat them. They come to my field and eat my banana. So even the monkey knows that the
Mhm.
banana that's been grown for this big store in England is not right. It has been genetically changed,
Mhm.
you know? So when you see a dog or a cat going for water in a bowl and it goes and sniffs the water and he says, "No, I'm not drinking that," it's because they can smell and taste the toxins that are in the water. The animals know. The
Mhm.
animals know what's
Yeah,
good for
that's
them.
one thing back home. We did always witness animals or our cats or pet dogs. When they felt sick, you'd literally see them in the garden digging out whatever bush they're eating. Leave the bush,
Grass.
go. thick
They're
and
not
then
the
just put
grass.
out like being
They
shot
know
there.
they in their system
Plant
they eat the
to
grass.
what? Whether it's toilet or to regurgitate.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's grass. But as I said, like even if something's grown what they call organic, be quite honest with you, you can't even tell. They just say it's organic. You don't know if it's organic. But there's few points that you can do to try to help yourself with the food and the vegetables and the greens. One of the things, a lot of people wash their fruit and vegetable in bicarbonate soda. Some people even use apple cider vinegar, that type of thing to wash their vegetables and that. But there's a known plant that grows in most of the Caribbean and most of Africa, and the plant's called neem. The neem plant
I'll
is
leave.
earth.
Got me like that, yeah.
Neem plant is the earth's pesticide. So if you got a tree and you got worms going into the fruit, yeah, you before the season start, you spray that tree with neem. Once you spray that tree with neem oil, the insects and the worms will not go and eat the vegetable because they do not like the taste of neem. If
Mm-hmm.
you're going to the Caribbean or Africa and you don't want to be bitten by mosquitoes, put into your body neem. Because how they see your body and they can smell the sweetness in your blood. They see it through infrared, and that's what they're going for. And what happens if they bite into you, they don't want the taste of neem.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the neem leaf. It usually comes in like a powder. I've got something similar. I'll just show you. Here we go. The neem leaf comes in a thing like a powder like this. You put a teaspoon of it into the a big bowl of warm water or very warm water, because when they're putting this fruit and this veg, they spray them. And some of the apples, if you see those apples shiny, 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 they're being painted with chemicals. Yeah. So what you got to do is put the fruit, the grapes, everything into the bowl, and then you start to wash it. And as you
Mm-hmm.
wash it, some of the times you'll see worms come out of it.
Oh, stop that.
It'll take the worms out, take the things out, take the pesticides out, take the thing what they put on it. You need to
Mm-hmm.
wash it in neem, and it won't change because neem is very bitter. It won't
Mm-hmm.
change the fruit to make it bitter or anything. You'll be still eating that same juicy fruit or that
Mm-hmm.
same vegetables, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then,
Minus the
you know,
additionals. So, um, so I was going to ask you about if you could give us a discussion. I know I bought this Hyundai chain from you.
oh right, yeah,
There's a little bit about my chain around the edge where the copper wraps around has gone
yeah,
really black. Like I read about it and it says copper extracts certain impurities from your body,
toxins,
which
yeah, yeah, it
so
will do. The
the copper.
copper will extract toxins from the body, but the reason that it is extracting it because right now, you've got a bioneuromagnet on that piece of shungite. So what happens?
On the
This is a shungite. So what happens is that you got to imagine that any toxins that's in your body will now be attracted to the copper because of the magnet. Yeah, because one of the three elements of the earth that makes everything work, including what we're looking on the screens and all that, it has to have in the periodical chain. I can't say the word go, but in the chain, your computer, your phone, your thing has to be plugged into a plug, and then when it's plugged into that plug, you're getting electricity, and that then going back to the substation. And when you're getting from the substation, they either run with coal or nuclear, but it's going to be a motor or a generator, usually a motor. And that motor to spin has to have a magnet, copper, and carbon brushes to make it work. So a car has to have carbon, copper, and magnet to make it work. The starter motor, what's the other thing? The thing that generates the things, the electricity for the battery, the alternator. All of those are motors, but they're all wrapped in copper, carbon, and magnet. You know, it won't work without it. So, what remembering that your body is a system. You are a system. So in your system, once you put the chain on with the copper around it, it will start to draw energy out of your body. So toxins, it will draw it out. It will then raise the pH value of your body. So you automatically become stronger. Yeah, because it's reversed the polarity from what we call AC current, which flows like that with a line between it. It's like that, to DC current, which is direct. And once the current's direct, it stops the mucus from coming in and out of your body, allowing you to be more stronger, raise the pH level, and start circulating the blood much more efficient around your body. It starts to repair the cells in your body, because inside your body, you have trillions of cells. So when you're nodding, but you have to get that energy from somewhere. So that energy is being stored in one of your cells. Yeah, that's why you need 8 hours sleep. Because when you sleep for that 8 hours, you're in the daytime when you're using all your energy and your cells. The nighttime, you go to bed, it rebirths the cells, so you're ready to go for the next day. You don't get 8 hours sleep and you keep on doing that, sooner or later the body will break down. Just remember, because it's a system. The system will break down. When people boast, I only need 4 hours sleep, yeah, and then I'm up to do my work and all. Yeah, you do that for a certain while, but you watch when it takes a toll on your body, them not getting that system, and you see how quickly your body evaporates and all the skin and everything starts to get wrinkly. It's because you're not sleep to not reboost the system.
I think on one occasion we spoke and you mentioned the graveyard shift. And
Well, even if you're doing the graveyard shift and you're working through the night, yeah, you've got to get that 8 hours sleep when you get back during the day. So you've got to train your body to, when you get into the bedroom, you make sure there's no electrical items in that bedroom giving you any kind of signals inside you. The second thing is you've got to black out your windows. So your body then starts to pretend it's night.
it's
You have
night,
to.
yeah.
That's what you do. The system. A system.
Graveyard shift is named the graveyard shift because
You, you
it's a
trick.
killer because you don't
You
get
trick.
those 8 hours sleep.
Yeah, you've got to trick your body. Pretend it's night because you still need them 8 hours sleep.
hmm
No?
So, but can you tell us? We kind of ran straight into it. So I wanted to let people know just a bit about what you do. It was actually the first question, but we went full steam ahead. So I just kind of want to know a bit about you. I know you're an engineer, how you came upon what you're doing,
Okay.
and then finally we'll close with how we can locate you, how we can get your details, how we can visit your shop, and yeah. So tell us
Okay.
about you.
Well, if as you see, I call myself a B, a body electrical engineer. Yeah. Now, because most people, there's loads of different gadgets going along the market where people hold things, and this thing will tell you, this is what's wrong with your body. But you are the best person to say what's wrong with your body. But the first thing is that everything is reversible. You cannot cure nothing, but you can reverse everything. And the main thing with reversing is the first thing you got to sort out is this. This is the
Right.
most precious component you got that needs to start to work to understand how you look after this. So I'm not gonna ever say it's easy because it's difficult, especially if you've been doing the same thing for many years. Like today, someone was telling me that one of their friends is at stage 4 cancer, but they were on remission. I said, but I bet you when they told them that they didn't have the cancer, they didn't say to them, you need to change what you're eating. So most people don't understand that once you've got these viruses or these diseases in your body, you have to change what you're eating. Because if you've got cancer, it's in your electrical wire in your blood system. So you've got to look at what you've been eating and change it. So that's one of the most fundamental things. But one of the things I try to explain to people, you got the most powerful machine at your fingertips here. Yeah. And you've got to really understand it because sometimes it tells you lies. But with this machine, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to just go into it and say to this machine, well, I can talk to my machine because I've got that series, Google, all this thinking, and say to the machine, I say, what is the pH value of salmon? And it's come up. The pH value of salmon is 5.7 to 6.6. So if you understand the chart of alkaline and acidic, if anything's under 7.0, it's acidic. Anything above 7.0 is usually alkaline. So I know automatically that salmon, sardines, mackerel, all these different fishes are acidic. There's not one fish that is alkaline. So let's just get that out. Not one fish. There's not one piece of meat that's alkaline. They're all acidic. But I'm not saying you can't eat them. I'm just saying you have to understand what you're putting into your temple, what is going to give you that power in your blood. Because when you keep, again, this is down to individuals as well, because it's like a fingerprint. I was eating meat and fish and all them things every day and not eating no vegetables ever or any fruit. I'd buy the fruit, put it in a bowl, and watch it just rot and say, go and get one. I thought, nah, nah, nah. And then I'd throw it away in the next 3 weeks. Yeah? So there was no substance going into my body that was any good. And because of that, I ended up with hypertension, high blood pressure. Then I ended up with diabetes. And from the knockoff effect from high blood pressure to diabetes, I then got a thing called shingles, which I let everyone know. Shingles is from the same virus or family as herpes or chickenpox. Yeah, they call it the adult version. And then I had prostate problem. I got blind in the right eye. Then I had gangrene. Then I had depression. But all of these things came from the medicines that I was taking and the food that I was eating. But the biggest thing, a lot of times, was the food. It's the food. If it comes in a packet, comes in a tin, you got to read the ingredients because the ingredients are going to have the worst thing that us people don't need is sugar. Sugar,
Yeah.
carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it takes a while, a lifestyle change. It takes a while. It can be done, but it depends on how much you love yourself, how much you love your system, if you want to live. Because some people, it's not for everybody. Some people don't want to live. Some people don't love their system.
Yeah, understood. Oh, yeah. I think it's a personal journey that you either get there in time or you don't. It's too late before you get the recognition that it needs to happen. Um,
Yeah.
Hopefully I can stay strong in my journey. How can any viewers or anybody that's watching the show later on contact you? I am going to put your address and your company in our description when we post the video.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to share, any pages or anything you'd
Well,
like to
yeah.
share?
Well, anyone wants to contact me, they can contact me on my phone, which is quite easy. It's 077 202 18001. I'll repeat that: 077 202 18001. Yeah. Or you can just come down to shop, which is uh, Cosmic Energy, 637 Romford Road, E12 5AD. 637 Romford Road, E12 5AD. In the shop, we've got all the things to cleanse out from the colon. We've got the most powerful thing that my sister just used. She'll remember it when she sees it. I'll just show it to you. That that's called a tumbi. That is what they call a rebirth or balance your body. It works on how big you are because you're looking at something. If you're size 8, you might get away with taking one. If you're size 14 or more head, you might need 3 or 4. That's how this works. But it cleanses from the colon. It takes all the parasites away from the colon. And the second thing that I've got that is really extremely good is this stuff. Let me grab one and show you. It's called Yoto
Oh
roots.
yeah.
It's ginger and Sinker Bible. But what this does, this goes in and it cleanses the blood system as well. But from it go into your arteries, take out the fungus and the mucus, helps with that. If you've got heavy period pains, menstruation pains, it sorts that out. Bad breath, acid reflux, it sorts that out. A cold, heavy cold, it sorts that out. It's just an amazing thing. It's ginger and a plant that they call nopal, which is part of the cactus family. Some people, Jamaicans, will call it tuna, and some will call it Sinker Bible. But it's a cactus family. It's an amazing little tool to get yourself. All you do is put a little bit in your hand and suck it, and it kind of does the job, you know. And then, as I said, we got the shungite. We got it with the biomagnet chain, the bioneuromagnet chain. So it becomes, although this is quite big, it becomes a lethal weapon against this thing. Most people don't know we're being microwaved by this thing. But what happens is when they say it causes cancer, is because because of this thing, you're producing too much mucus in your body. And as you produce too much mucus in your body, it's going into the arteries all over the vein, and that's how it produces cancer. The signal on this, right now, it's roaming for a signal. But when it starts to ring or a text message, that's when it becomes strongest, the signal. Now, I advise anyone to stop put this in your pocket. Women, stop put this by your breast. Do not carry this by your bum on your back pocket. When answering the phone, if you haven't got an earpiece that's got the wire, I answer this phone like this and I put it straight onto loudspeaker. Because once you start getting in the habit of keep speaking with this at your top of where here, it's a microwave. Believe it or not, it's a microwave. You're microwaving yourself. And that's why I wear the biomagnet chain and the shungite to then takes it. The shungite takes
This
the
shows the yeah, that I
what's
got from
called
the. I don't know if you can actually see it,
yeah,
but that was.
and then the chain works on the inside by stopping the signal because it's all frequency. stopping the signals from going through your blood system. So there are a few little tools I can advise you with. Yeah. The other couple of little things that I say to everyone, everyone's house should have these two things in your house. This little gadget's called an oximeter. That could really make sure that your life force is not coming out of you. Yeah, this oximeter. All you do is put it onto the finger, press it. If the reading comes down under 95, my reading's just come up at 99. If the reading comes down under 95, you know you usually got some form of problem. There's not enough oxygen getting to the blood system, and your system is not alkaline enough. Yeah. So this is a brilliant tool to have in your house. The second tool I say that everyone should have in their house is this tool. Blood pressure monitor. Yeah. 2 tools should be in everybody's house that are really affordable. Yeah. Because with these 2 tools, they could save your life. If there's a problem, you will be able to detect it pretty quick and start looking for help wherever you're going to go for help. You know what I mean? Some people will go to the man in the white coat and the stethoscope. But I say to you now, we got one of the powerfulest machines. If you know how to use this good and you basically put the information in, you have to be able to suss it out, because sometimes the information might tell you lies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's the truthful thing, because you've got to go through the information. And that's where knowledge comes into play.
Mm-hmm. So I think, well, firstly, I've seen that you've got your bottles back in stock, so I hope one of them's on the back burner waiting for me.
Say that again?
I said I can see you've got your ginger back in stock, your ginger
Yeah,
so I hope mine was on the back burner.
Yeah, you want to get that quick, because I'll tell you something, run out on the
tomorrow. So thank you very much for joining us.
Lovely.
And hopefully you'll come back again later on in the show, especially as my journey progresses and you start introducing more products to me and whatnot. And yeah, just give us another talk.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Fire. We look forward to speaking to you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Ciao.
So that was Fire, body engineer, electrical engineer. Thank you very much for joining us. Fire, we look forward to seeing you in the future. That was very informative. I hope that's beneficial to you guys. Now, moving forward, as we said earlier, we had Emmanuel, my mother, coming to share her story about her transition from the Caribbean to the UK. My mother is of the Windrush generation. I would say at this point, if you have a story you'd like to share, please contact us at mystory@blacktabletalk.co.uk. We will be highlighting stories of Windrush generation, of NHS healthcare issues, or if you're getting poor treatment, or any stories that's affecting our Black community, we are pushing it forward. I'm going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to be interviewing Herma Emmanuel. So stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. It's an extended show today. I'll be back with you shortly. Hi, Herma. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so today you're here to tell us your story about the Windrush generation. How are you feeling? How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Are you ready to move forward? To
Yes,
start?
yes.
Okay. So, how old were you when you were told you'd be traveling to New Zealand? When you arrived to the UK, and sorry, when you found out you'd be coming to the UK, and what preparations were made for you to come to the UK?
I was 11 years old um, when I came to the UK. The preparations that was made, I remember in school I had two friends, and in about the November, December of '69, they kept on boasting in school. They're coming home to London. Their parents had sent for them. But I knew my dad was in England. So I got a bit jealous and I decided to tell a little white lie and say, yeah, I'm going to. But as it turned around one day, I think that was possibly the December or the January, as we did back then collect our letters from the post office. So I collected a letter from the post office, took it home to my grandparents. My grandmother read it, and unbeknownst, shocking to me, she read the letter and she said, "Your dad has sent for you in England." You know, what a coincidence, you know? And from there, arrangements was made. You know, first thing they had to change my name to my dad's name, as it were back then. If your parents weren't married, you had your mother's name. But coming to England to my dad, I had to have my name changed. Then it was about hush hush, tell nobody. It was so quiet. The sad thing about it all for me is that I left the school without telling the school. It's I didn't get to tell my family, my cousins, nobody, friends, the friends I had at school that I was leaving to come to London. I mustn't tell no one. So it was a very sad moment leaving St. Lucia.
Mhm. Um, were you excited to meet your dad, and what did you expect on coming to the UK?
As a child, back then, didn't have, don't know, expectation. When the letter came, I thought, oh, in some sense, I was happy because I was the only child growing up with my great grandmother, then my grandparents. It was rather lovely. So I thought I knew I had siblings in England. So I was at one point happy, but nearer to the time, it felt lonely. I guess knowing I never said bye to anybody. So I don't know what the feeling was, mixed feelings and anxiety, especially I had to travel on my own as a child. Remember traveling with a mighty big doll called Rosemary. And the air stewardess was supposed to have looked after me. I came on the BOSC 1970, February. And I didn't really know who I was supposed to come to. All I knew was my dad. I didn't know what he looked like. Um, But the stewardess took me to the meeting point. Then I saw somebody with a bit of cardboard with my name on it. And at the time, I assumed that's probably my dad. He knew what I looked like, but I didn't know what he looked like.
So, on arriving to England, you met your dad at the airport, you get back to your new family home. Was it all what you expected it to be?
Unfortunately, no, it was not.
Okay, what did you find?
Um, Massive changes, things I didn't expect. Not really being welcomed because it was already a ready-made family. Living in the Caribbean and coming into a ready-made family, it's a very hard thing, especially sometimes if you're coming into a stepmother. It's very hard to be accepted. So it was very difficult trying to fit in, being part of that family. Um, school was kind of shock to the system because it was completely different from what I knew. I left a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago. It was shocking to me. Yeah.
What were your experiences from, let's say, arriving to the UK? You're now going to school, you're living in your family house, you're not happy in your family house. What was the transition from the point of you knowing that you're not happy in your family house to even having children, to working, to building a home and establishing a full life in the UK?
It was very difficult. As a child, it was very difficult because where I thought it would have been a family life, I was sort of left on my own to my own device at about age 11, coming up to 12. So I literally grew myself up from 12 years old, 11, 12 years old. And it was very difficult. The journey from then, the journey to going to school, having children, they all been very difficult journeys, very, very difficult times.
Had you ever had any support, being as you didn't have your family support? Everybody you know is from St. Lucia, in St. Lucia. How did you manage? How did you get by? Did you face any form of racism or how, what?
Oh my God, we're talking about the 70s. The 70s had total racism in schools, everywhere you were in the hospitals, everywhere you had jobs, and it was very difficult. I depended friends, couple of good friends I had at the time. It was still early stages in my life being in England, so I met two good friends who came roughly the same time I came, and they had their own difficulties trying to fit in family life and into society, which was difficult for all of us.
So how did you manage to leave your family home to get to the point of your own independence, your own freedom, no more, I would like so to speak, abuse coming from your family that your newfound family? How did you get out of that situation to becoming independent or having your own?
Um, it was a matter of just one day not knowing where you're going, just coming to England, not knowing where you're going, just knowing one street, and you decide you've had enough because if you go back, you probably would never see another day tomorrow. So for some reason, something, because I was very, very naive back then, which we would be coming from the Caribbean back then, didn't know much. And the only thing I knew, I needed help. The only thing I knew, I didn't know how to get it, but I knew I couldn't return. I knew I could not return because I know if I ever return, I probably would be sitting here speaking to you now.
And so what did you do?
Um,
You said you didn't return. So what did you do instead of returning that day in question?
I seek help from certain people. I which ended up in the hands of the police at the time,
Hmm.
and they took my story. Didn't they? Back then, they didn't go into much details. It was about 4 or 5 lines, and that was it. They didn't go. They didn't really did much research, and from then, they find what was supposed to be a suitable place in Essex for me to stay at
Hmm.
the time. Yeah.
Okay, so you got to Essex, now you're away from your family home. I'm guessing that was freedom for you. That was the beginning of a new life, no more abuse, no more tribulations. You're now in the English system and you've now got a roof over your head. You're being protected by the people that's looking after you. You can now carry on life as normal into the system, surely. Was that the case?
No, it wasn't because at the time, the area I was living in, it was a predominantly white area, and it was very, very difficult. No matter how I tried to fit in, and the place I was sent to, it was very, very difficult. It was Essex.
Hmm.
Then I went to a school where I was the only, so to say, black person,
Hmm.
and it was not easy.
Hmm.
Only in a school,
Hmm.
right? It was not easy, but yeah.
So you then went on to have children. How do you find it? What was your experiences of being a mother to children, to black children in that time, in that era?
Having children back in that time in that era was difficult, very difficult. Especially if you weren't married, you were looked down on because you were married, and being black was even more difficult then. You know, so yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Um, is there anything that stands out to you in that time that would indicate to you um, that would have made you have to fight for your rights? So there's a lot of this, well, there's a lot of sayings of black women being angry and aggressive. What do you say to that comment about black women being angry and aggressive?
Well, it seems like that two of us, we are angry and aggressive. We're not angry and aggressive. It's because we fight. And the way we fight, we spoke up and we tried to fight. And they gave us no choice. Then to them, it appeared, to the other people, it appeared aggression, right? Most times, if we were loud, we weren't heard, right? Everything wanted to give us the worst in everything, give us the worst in healthcare, give us the worst in housing, give us the worst treatment when it came, if we were on benefits. In schooling with our children, we had to fight when our kids went to school. Our kids was always thrown, especially our boy child, then was always thrown at the back of the class, right? So you can, after fighting for yourself all those years, once you start having kids, you start fighting for your kids, because that's how it was in those days. You had to fight for everything, for your children, for everything, for you. Even sometimes you had to fight for certain rights for your kids in school. Because your kids was told the same thing you were. You weren't good enough for this, and your kids was told the same thing. They weren't good enough for that, and you had to fight everything you fought for back in those days.
If you could pass anything on to the next generation in terms of trying to put things back on course. So your generation brought us thus far, yeah? This generation needs to bring us the next step of the way. What form of encouragement can you give us, or advice would you say? How do we keep the passion burning? What should we be looking out for?
I think it's a matter of go with what you believe in, which hopefully is the right thing. Um, Continue. We're still on a struggle. The struggle hasn't ended. We're still on a struggle. Continue fighting for your children. Teach your children the right way, right? Educate them who they are, what's happening, and what could happen. Just put them on the right path.
So, despite everything that you've been through, all your trials and tribulations, I know you shared a lot more than what you've shared in the story today, and that's great. But what do you think? What? Sorry, just looking for the. Okay. Yeah. So, what would you like to see happening in the near future for this generation?
Your
Yeah. What would you like
No,
to?
I would like to see your generation have it much easier than we did. Have it more chances than we did. It's a bit change. There's a bit of a change. There's some changes. Wouldn't deny that there's some changes. The younger generation, they can get jobs we weren't able to. They can go to university. It was harder for us to go to university back then. Going to university was a black thing, really. If you had money and you were rich, or maybe black and had money, yes, but the ordinary black person, it was not heard of. So our younger generation now, they can go to uni, although there's a big fee at the end of the day, but they can be educated. Take all the opportunity, because if you don't, you look back one day and regret it.
Yeah. I want to thank you for giving us this time today. It's very important for us to be able to share our stories. I'm hoping as time goes along, that we get more people wanting to share their stories with us. If you want to share your story, please contact us on My Table talk show, and we will endeavor to share your stories. Um, Thank you very much for joining us. I can see a few people in the chat, so I'm shouting out to that's my that's Tala. I'm shouting out to mums. Is there any questions that you guys would like to ask? Yes, that was the oxygen saturation detection. Um, and hi Rudy, hi Chris. Thank you very much for joining. Much appreciated. So we're going to leave the show here for today, and we will see you again next week, Monday at 8 p.m. And I just want to thank you again, Mother. Uh, um, we'll be catching up with you again soon. Thanks for sharing your story. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, everyone have a very good Christmas if you celebrate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and we'll speak soon.